Hello everybody! Welcome back to Secret Family Recipe episode number 9. Thank goodness you were able to adjust to the time, and I appreciate that. We have to adjust because real estate's heating up, and I'm obviously going to have to switch it at some point when we get back to a routine, which who knew we would be so anxious to have routine in our life that we'll pick a regular time and it'll come to you every week at that time. So today we're going to be doing something really simple but really delicious, and it's kind of a celebratory Memorial Day. Every American holiday, including Thanksgiving, we kind of always made pasta. So it's suitable for my family, right? Today is Memorial Day, so big shout out and tribute to those who did serve and those who are serving. I am going to plug Tunnel for Towers just a second because I do contribute to them, and they do in a small way help out for the families of those who serve, whether it be police, fire, or armed services. So let's all think about that for just one moment over this weekend, even if you're doing picnics and beaches and so forth. Okay, so today we're going to be making Amatriciana Pasta. I know that that's a simple and favorite of everyone's, but I'm bringing you my family's way of making Amatriciana. And G is not here with us today, unfortunately. She is back in Brooklyn this week because she has to make sure that the tree that grows only in Brooklyn is still there, and the moon that shines only in Brooklyn is still shining. So we will see her again, and maybe I'll have a couple of other guests. We'll see what happens. So let's talk about Amatriciana. This is what is needed in our recipe. But before we go any further, because I think this is kind of quick, which is the wonderful thing about it, we are going to put our pasta. Today I have cavatelli. So remember, we talked about the size and the shape of the pasta suiting the what you are making, and in this situation you kind of have to think, am I using a spoon or a fork to eat it, right? So in this situation we're using a fork, so it has to be large enough to get with the fork and not needing a spoon. Spoons are more popular with tiny macaroni pasta or macaroni. I always called it macaroni. Or soup, right? So we're making something that's got a little bit more weight in it, and I've had it already in boiling water, 1 pound. I'm keeping it covered until it comes to a boil, and then I am going to add salt. It's like 1 pasta spoon of salt, okay? Trying not to get keeping it a little covered. As soon as it comes to a boil, we got to take that cover off or it starts to boil over. Okay, and then I'm going to stir in that salt, get the pasta off the bottom of the pot so that it doesn't stick. Alrighty? Okay, so we are using, ruh-roh, I got some water in my extra virgin olive oil. So it's our extra virgin olive oil. When you get water in it, it's gonna pop. So I am going to grab a splash guard. That's what's gonna happen there. Okay, so we have our EVOO, okay? Nice dark green. We line our deep saute pan with that. We have our, here, let me show you. Onions, 1 nice size onion chopped small, okay? And as soon as that oil heats up, I will be able to add that in. And I have imported prosciutto. Some recipes will ask you to put pancetta, but I use imported prosciutto because it's my favorite, but you can use either. So I have about 8 slices of prosciutto stacked, and it was in the refrigerator so that when I cut this, it will kind of separate and they won't stick together when the prosciutto gets too warm. So you need that to be done. I'm going to demonstrate to you. Hold the wire. Let's see how. Okay, can you see that? Yes. All right. So the prosciutto, you want about 1/2 inch by 1/4 inch diced. So I put the slices in it vertically with a nice sharp knife. And don't get too crazy about the science of this. I do trim some fat if there's fat on the prosciutto. This way, we avoid some of the unnecessary fats in the pasta dish. Let's see if that oil is getting there. Well, it would get there quicker if I would put it on, right? Um, if G was here, I wouldn't have had this problem. So I'm cutting your prosciutto. Oh, and this is my poppy. This is from the Vietnam Memorial in Washington, D.C. So in tribute to our fallen soldiers. It's a fabulous memorial, by the way. You really should see it. I'm cutting it up a little bit, making sure that it's chopped nice and small, okay? And separating it if I can. Also, I have about, I'd say 40 ounces of Pilati Pomodoro, nice Italian brand that is has a lot of water in it, okay? And I squash that with my hands if I want it a little pulpier, or I can use my immersion blender in a bowl if you want it to be a little bit more chopped up. So I'm going to go ahead and add my onions. Get ready for the water in there to start popping. It's not ideal, but we'll do okay. Alrighty, and I'm just going to move that around. Let that get good and soaked with the olive oil. Okay. Should have heated that oil up. Okay. Today we're going to be drinking Cabernet Sauvignon. So I'm going to pour myself a little bit of that. Now, what else are we using? My favorite, fresh basil. I could wear it as a corsage. I think it's appropriate. We're also using grated, finely grated locatelli cheese, dried basil as well, because we could never have enough of that, and salt and pepper to taste, of course. So in the meantime, let's check on our pasta. Don't forget the pasta. It shouldn't stick to the bottom of the pot. I'm going to remove my cover because now it is in fact boiling. When it comes to a boil, if you have the need, you would remove that, and I say the need because this deep pot allows me to, it's not going to so much boil over, and I have it on a very nice medium heat, okay? And they're not sticking. Remember, we want it to be al dente, which is a little hard, not too soft. So those are going nicely. You want a rolling boil, don't make it too low. There we go. And I used kind of a spoon that I've already involved in oil because that kind of keeps it from sticking as well. I don't pour oil in the water, but I cheat a little bit with the spoon. Okay, now that that spoon has been in the water, I'm using a different one to go ahead and move these onions around. Now the onions are about here, right? The way I like them. And so therefore I can go ahead and add my prosciutto. What I'm going to do, I'm going to show you that. There we go. I'm going to push that over to the sides of the saute pan. I'm going to add my prosciutto in the middle. So also, we talk about Gima Rose a lot in her Brooklyn roots, but I also need to pay tribute to Vincent Cutrano, who was my father and a World War II veteran. Also James Sayers, my husband's father, who was a Korean War veteran. Both of those men, unfortunately, are not with us anymore, but I know that they are very missed and their service was very much appreciated. Growing up with my father was interesting. Veterans are very, very tough people, I've come to learn. My brother, for instance, cut the tip of his finger off one time. So my father, after having been in the armed services and seen more than he ever discussed with us, just kind of like put the tip of the finger back on, taped it up, and was like, come on, you weren't allowed to cry. So I cried a lot about my brother now. So, it just is a different breed of cat, as they say. They deserve our respect, right? Now I'm taking those prosciutto pieces and I'm mixing them with the onions nicely. I want to get this to the point where, here, it's not browned, but I'm starting to see the tips turn a little bit. Don't keep stirring, you need to let things cook. I'm reducing this to medium heat, and it looks like it's really doing what it's supposed to be doing, and it smells delicious already. Now, I'm going to take my pasta. I'm going to make sure, how do we test pasta? We take one out, still in a rolling boil, a small rolling boil. Not yet. The center is still hard, so we do still want it a little hard, but not too much. Okay. This is perfect now. This is absolutely perfect. I'm going to add my tomato. Now this is a lot of tomato for this. If you want it just a little meatier, a little less. It's very, cooking is different than baking. It's not as scientific. Let me see, I'm taking a look at this. Everything is by eye. But when I give you the recipe online, I will give you the exact recipe. Okay? I see how deep that's going. Now I have 1 pound of pasta. And if I were to be serving this up, it would be plenty. And I would have leftover. I'm going to put it just a tad bit more. So I'm slightly shy of that 40 ounces, right? Okay. Now this, I am going to cover, but not completely. I put my spoon here. I lean my top on, and I reduce to lower heat. And what happens, it cooks down. I let that cook. In the meantime, salt and pepper. So pepper to taste, a light salt. I guess I should have done that before I did my lid. Now, I take my nice handful of dry basil. Yep. Yeah. Love the dry basil, as you guys know by now. So I mix that in. Okay, ready for cover. Again, not too low. There. It's like a little bit of a balancing act, right? So at the very end, which I am going to be able to skip to because I already have it prepared for you. Here's my prepared pasta. Keeping watch on this. It's a really important thing that you don't overcook. As we call it sfata. Sfata pasta, throw it out, start over. Sfata is too soft. Hold on, let's see. Perfect. Take it out. Good, I'm glad this is ready because I'm going to show you the next step in my family, which is not in the recipe books. Okay, strain it back to the stove, but not on the heat. Obviously, we don't want that burning on the bottom. Okay, we can even use the splash guard with that. So, what do we do in my family? Firstly, we take our completely done sauce. Now I know this doesn't, you can't see from here, but see, it's a chunky meat and onion. Just smelling it allows you to taste everything that's inside of it. So I'm going to put 2 big pasta spoons of sauce in this pot. Stir it in so that it doesn't stick, right? Make sure that's on. Okay. And I'm stirring it in. Now, my family, because more is always more. Now, I have about 1/2 cup of light cream here. So I'm taking the light cream and I'm adding it in to this pasta. And I am stirring it while it's hot. That cream is probably room temperature. Now it looks pink. So I'm going to add most of my sauce. Now remember, you can always separate some of the pasta after you've added the 2 pasta spoons of sauce. And keep it separately because maybe somebody doesn't want cream or isn't, able to eat cream, have some allergy to it. So you don't have to do that. This is so pretty. Pink is pretty, right? So, I love it. Okay, remember that you have to use beautiful china. Here's your cheese. Now, I add it in while it's in the pot, although, again, if you have people who are not dairy friendly, they don't have to have that. You separate it. It's not a necessity. It just tastes absolutely delicious. Okay, so this is like crazy good. Also, remember, you can always keep a little bit of your starchy pasta water. There we go. Look at this. So, remember I said keep some of here's your pink, beautiful pasta. It's crazy. And then just a tiny bit in the center there so people can add a little bit more, mix it in there, and make it delicious. And here's the creme de la creme, the basil, right? Tear it gently onto this dish. So good. I need a taste tester. Do we have a taste tester? I don't have a taste tester. Oh yeah, taste tester. Here he comes. He so kindly volunteered. Here you go.
I'll always volunteer for this.
Let's see.
Where's the cheese?
The cheese is in there. All right. He likes cheese, so here's more cheese. Again, you can add whatever you want.
Perfect.
How's that?
As always, delicious.
Oh, delicious. Excuse me. Okay. Thank you all for coming. Next week, I'm giving you the option to suggest recipes. And if I get enough of the same thing, I will make what you request. We'll see what happens. And if not, I have something really great I'm thinking about making for you. So remember, there's no place like home.